The previously one-win San Jose Sharks get out to an early lead. They get left on the ice for 3+ minutes in overtime and still find a way to beat the Minnesota Wild 6-5. And the Wild now 3-5-2. They just lost to the worst 5-on-5 defense in the NHL, and they still had to rely on power play scoring. This team is a mess, folks, and I still am at the point that I don't believe anybody that is in a position with this team really feels like there's any sense of urgency at what is going on right now. Every other team in the West, other than maybe Calgary, got better this offseason, and I don't like your chances to have to try to climb out of a hole against the rest of the Central Division. It's just another in a long series of sleepwalk games at Grand Casino Arena. Kirill Kaprizov, I know he had 3 assists tonight, but that is about as bad of a 3-assist game as you can possibly play. And again, it comes down to, I don't think there is any sense of urgency at the start yet. It just looks like a team that is just content with what happens out there, and that's a problem. Boy, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about.
You are Locked On Wild Postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Minnesota Wild fall by a score of 6-5 in overtime to the San Jose Sharks. They fell behind in this game 2-0, 4-2, 5-3, and lost 6-5. It took the Wild until midway through the first period to score on the worst defense in the NHL. The Sharks had allowed the most goals in the entirety of the NHL, both in 5-on-5 play and power play scoring. And it took until the 17-minute mark of the first period to get the first goal of the game. The Wild score 2 in 30 seconds. The Sharks come back midway through the second, and they score 2 in 20 seconds. And it is a team that it's lifeless out there. It's a sleepwalking, zombie-type approach for this Minnesota Wild team. The level of general inattentiveness to passing the puck, the number of D-zone turnovers is startling. And it looks like a team that just, again, doesn't really care. And this was a disaster class as far as coaching goes, and we could have seen it coming a mile away. At the beginning of the game, when I saw the D pairings, I said on X, the Eriksson Ek Buium pairing is just daring John Hines to not play them in the third period. And they really didn't. They didn't play until Eriksson Ek came out for the penalty kill in the third period, and he ended up kind of drifting off his spot, and the Wild surrendered a goal there. But I don't know what you expect from a guy who sits on the bench for most of the period and then comes in a critical spot. And, I get annoyed because I saw on social media that the Team X account was praising the minutes played by top players. Kirill Kaprizov playing 27 minutes tonight, which I do believe was one of the highest minute amounts that he has played in a game. I'm going to pull up the exact tweet here. Along with his 3 assists, Kirill Kaprizov skated a season-high 27 minutes and 8 seconds in tonight's game against San Jose. That is also the highest total by a forward in the NHL this season. That's not a point of that's not a point of pride. That's not a brag point. I wouldn't be trying to turn that into a positive, but I guess when the team plays like this, you really have no choice. Like, I don't get it. And I don't understand. I don't understand how you can go into a game after what happened against Utah yesterday, how you can go into a game like this and just resign yourself to the fact of, okay, we're down 2-0. We'll figure it out. And if you want to hold solace in the comeback, go right ahead. But you shouldn't be putting yourself in that position against a team like this. It's a great team that has a lot of exciting offensive talent. They don't play a lick of defense. And for you to be held to 2 goals 80% of the way through the second period against a team like this, that's awful. And that's not even to talk about some of the coaching decisions as far as minutes go. I mean, Eriksson Ek played under 9. Danil Yurov got 5.5 minutes in this game. We are to the point in the season, 10 games in, where panic mode has set in so much as far as the lineup goes. If you're going to play Danil Yurov 5 minutes a night, send him to Iowa. He's not getting served any bit by playing 5 minutes a night on this fourth line. Like, that's doing no one any good. That's doing no one any level of good. But hey, gotta make sure that you get Vinny Hinostroza an opportunity on the third line. It's baffling. It's baffling, and I just I just don't understand. I don't get it. Marcus Johansson did score again today. Credit to him. He has put together a nice stretch of games here, but the big offseason acquisition goes 17 minutes with 0 registered shots on goal. And he had another opportunity in close that he just airmailed again, or it's a whiff on a shot. And as far as I'm seeing some of the comments as far as the making a coaching change, making anything at this point, there needs to be an acknowledgement that what is happening isn't working. And I haven't seen any level of that from anyone in a position to make that sort of a call. So I don't know if that's coming. I don't know if it's coming at this point. It may, if this continues, it will probably come at some point. But I don't think that sort of a move is coming right now. I asked earlier today, and I put it out on X, what are the actual ramifications? What are the actual ramifications for people in positions of power in this organization if this team doesn't make the playoffs this year? Bill Guerin going anywhere? John Hines going anywhere? John Hines I could see, but I don't think Bill Guerin's I don't think he's in danger at this point if the Wilds miss the playoffs. Like it's an old roster. It's an old roster. It's a tired roster. And the old guys are being put in positions and are doing things that you could make very easy cases for benching. But the moment one of the younger players makes a mistake, they are ripped out of the lineup. Seems backwards to me. I would love if there was an opportunity to possibly be bad enough to get in the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes, but we all know that's not going to happen. There will be a course correction at some point for this team, and they're going to finish 15th or 16th in the standings. What did go well, you say? Let's take a look. Let's take a peek. The Wild did manage more shots on goal. Congrats. They went 2 for 4 on the power play. Faceoffs were relatively even, but the big number that I am surprised by is that of the 6 goals that San Jose scored tonight, 4 of them were high danger goals. The Sharks had an expected goals tonight of 3.7. They scored 6 times. Do you put a lot of that on Jesper? Do you put a lot of that on the defense? Let's put it equally on both. There's a lot of just watching on defense. And that's not good enough. It's not anywhere close to good enough. And the Sharks are a young enough team that they nearly let the Wild back into it. And you possess the puck for 3+ minutes in overtime. You get a couple of shots off. You hold at others. And you cough the puck up at the blue line, and Celebrini takes it down the rest of the way, and that's it. As far as Kaprizov himself, I don't know. I don't know what it is at this point. I mean, could he be hurt? Certainly. But I really do think it boils down to the fact that this team is just way too comfortable. They're way too comfortable. When is the last time that there were legitimate consequences for having a bad season? When is the last time there were legitimate consequences for that? Because all we've heard the last few seasons is, well, the buyouts. So everybody that is on this team got a pass. They got a pass for the last 4 years. And now a slow start this year. Well, we're in year 4 of 5. We're in year 4 of the 5-year plan. It just feels like this team is way too comfortable. I'm going to end up saying it way too much tonight, but I look out there and I just see the same look, the same response, the same actions when the other team scores a goal. It's just a lot of the same, and it is. I just don't see anybody that is overly perturbed with what's happening. And I will say, to be fully fair, I'm not in the locker room, so I can't 100% speak to that. But what we see in public and out on the ice doesn't seem like anybody's overly perturbed by this. And that's a problem. But when you have a roster that doesn't change much over the course of 4 seasons, with the exception of 1 or 2 guys a year, they have not changed this roster hardly at all. And that's not super common. It's still been mostly the same top 6 the last 4 years. It's been just a shuffling on the decor. Like, maybe it's me being dumb, but I kind of want to see somebody break something. I kind of want to hear about somebody losing their cool, because this cannot be acceptable. There's no circumstance in which this kind of a start can be acceptable. With the talent that this team has, the talent routinely one of the 5 best defenses in the league. There's no excuse for this. You have players that are routinely mentioned as some of the most underrated defensemen in the league. You've got defensive forwards. Zero excuse for the penalty kill being as bad as it is. 2 more power play goals for the San Jose Sharks tonight. You've got one of the 10 best players in the NHL. You've got another forward that is widely regarded as one of the best emerging players in the league. There is zero excuse for this offense to be the worst 5-on-5 offense in hockey. You got to raise the standard, folks. You got to raise the standard. And I think what is going to need to happen, I think you got to ship somebody out. I really do. I think you got to ship somebody out to send a message to this roster. I'm not talking Rossi. I'm not talking Boldy. I'm not talking Kaprizov. I'm talking one of the other guys. You got to send somebody off to send a message to this team that the start is unacceptable. And if it's fine, like if this is fine, then what are we doing here? What are we doing? An eighth of the way into the season. 10 more games, you'll be at the quarter pole. And guess who you have? Guess who you have in the next 10 games? Winnipeg, Pittsburgh, Vancouver, Nashville, Carolina, New York Islanders. Calgary, San Jose, Anaheim, Vegas. San Jose was supposed to be one of the winnable games on the schedule. Maybe you beat Calgary. Guess what? Pittsburgh's no slouch. Pittsburgh's supposed to be terrible this year, but guess what? They're playing for Crosby. They're no slouch. Anaheim, New York Islanders, Nashville. Hey, Nashville's ahead of you in the standings right now. I'm just calling it like I see it. I hit my if you want the honest answer, that New Jersey Devils game kind of broke my brain as far as this team goes. A New Jersey Devils team that has big players. I wouldn't say they play big by any stretch. And they got walked in that game. They got walked. They got bullied off the puck. They got moved around. That was my, this is probably not going to go well. That was my moment. Because I had preached patience up to this point. But you pride yourself on being a big, tough team, and you get out-toughed by a team that is slightly smaller than you. Yeah, that's a problem. We are going to, I think we're going to take a break. I am just dying to see some of the post-game comments. I feel like at this point in the season, we are already approaching players-only meeting time. At least I hope we are. But I don't know. I'm going to talk about part of the other issue because admitting that there is a problem, I don't get the sense that there is a thought that there is one. So let's sneak in a break. We got plenty more coming up. Minnesota Wild lose 6-5 in overtime to the San Jose Sharks. More postcast on the way next. Today's postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. I hope for your sake you took the over on the Wild and Sharks game. That seems like a pretty solid cash, but I don't know. Mostly just probably stay away from the Minnesota Wild as far as the betting goes for the foreseeable future. FanDuel keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Eriksson Ek. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Tonight's postcast is also brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. My favorite part about Game Time is that ticket prices actually go down the closer you get to your event. So if you ever feel like spontaneously going to see your favorite team play, you don't get penalized for it. So head to GameTime.com right now to take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. You can download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Minnesota Wild lose 6-5 in overtime to the San Jose Sharks. The previously one-win San Jose Sharks. The previously worst defense in the NHL, San Jose Sharks. And the Minnesota Wilds lost to them. Let's just go to the sum of the comments. I'm going to start with Dan. This is a good one to start with. Billy's going to have to make an early season trade again to spark the team again so they can barely make a wild card spot again and lose in the first round again. I like that. Let's do this for a little historical episode. So let's go back to last year. I want to go to Thanksgiving over the last few seasons. So the Wild are currently 3-5-2, or for all of the everydayers, you know by now, overtime losses are just losses that take longer. So the Wild are really 3-7. Last year at Thanksgiving, the Minnesota Wild were 14-4-4. The one time in the last 5 years that they've been fully healthy early in the season. The one time. They've been banking on it every year. It's happened once. So 14-4-4 last year. Let's go to 23-24. This is not as fun. The Minnesota Wild lost before Thanksgiving to, that was 2 years ago. That was actually when John Hines came in. They lost to Detroit to go to 5-10-4. And that was the last game that Dean Evison coached back in 2023-2024. But on Thursday, November 2nd, the Wild lost the second end of a back-to-back to New Jersey to fall to 3-5-2 on the season. They then rallied for a 5-4 shootout win against New York and beat the Islanders 4-2. They then lost 7 straight games. 7 straight games to fall to 5-10-4 at that point. 22-23 at Thanksgiving. The Minnesota Wild find themselves with a 9-8-2 record. After beating Winnipeg 6-1, they then lost to Toronto 4-3 the Friday after. 21-22, the year we've been trying to replicate for 4 years. At Thanksgiving, the Minnesota Wild were 12-6-1. So 2 years they've been good at the Thanksgiving point. And we all know the adage about Thanksgiving. If you're in the playoffs by Thanksgiving, pretty good odds that you're going to stay there. Do we want to see where the Minnesota Wild are at right now as far as the playoff push goes? The Minnesota Wild are 2 points out behind the Nashville Predators, who have played one fewer game. The Minnesota Wild have played the most games in the Western Conference right now, and they have more points than 3 teams. But hey, it's fine. The Wild are just one gritty 35-plus vet away from being elite. Look at how Utah has developed their young guys, and we have basically little to nothing over the last few years, mainly because the coaches are scared to play the young players. Unless they play perfectly. Unless they come in and they play absolute mistake-free hockey, in which case, then, yeah, they're probably ready for a fourth-line spot. I just don't... Well, I was going to say I just don't get it, but it's not a development. It's not a development situation. The Wild are not trying to develop young players. The Wild are trying to get to the playoffs, to maybe make it past the first round for the first time in 10 years. They're not trying to develop these guys. And that is, I think, evident by the players that we continue to see trotted out in those spots, because unless somebody absolutely goes crazy in training camp, they're just going to Iowa. I mean, the Sharks are doing it right now, too. Macklin Celebrini is better. Make no mistake about it. And Chicago fans, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Macklin Celebrini is better than Connor Bedard. He just is. That guy is going to be, he's going to be one of the best, if not the best player in the NHL in a couple of years. Outrageously talented. Skills off the charts. I would get season tickets to the San Jose Sharks to watch him play on a nightly basis. And I don't even live there. So tired of some of the players and coaches saying not to worry. It's early in the season. I forget that the NHL ruled that games in October don't count. Yeah, what's the old adage? You can't make the playoffs in October, but you can certainly lose out of them. I mean, there's one team in the Central Division that is behind you in the standings right now. It's the St. Louis Blues. Chicago is 4-2-2 through their first 8 games. They got a positive goal differential. Nashville is 4-3-2. I bet they're thrilled about the fact that they're above 500 at this point. Kind of. I bet they're thrilled about where they're at compared to last year. Dallas, they had their backs against a wall. They pulled out a win. Winnipeg, I think we know kind of what happened there. I definitely discounted them this year. They're in the 3rd spot. Colorado doesn't lose in regulation, so they're in the 2nd spot. And the Utah Mammoth won 7 games in a row. They have the best goal differential in the Western Conference at +13. They have the most goals scored in the Western Conference at 37. Outrageously fun team to watch. They had 3 goals in the first 5 minutes on Saturday? It's an old and tired team. And what is going to fix what is going on with, like, this isn't a Matt Zuccarello issue. This isn't a Nico Sturm issue. This is the overall construction of this team. And continuing to bank on the same group of players being able to recreate the one season in which you were able to get a second line that could score. The one season in which you were able to get a consistent second line that could score. Well, guess what? It turns out that's because you had Kevin Fiala on the second line. I do remember when Dino kept putting Pat Maroon in the top 6. It's the same problem, though. It's the same problem that we've been dealing with for the last few years. You are grasping at straws. You're trying to inject life that you don't have into those spots. The reason that Marcus Johansson has been successful as he has is because he's one of the only players on this team that has any level of speed. And his speed metrics, by the way, are like the 60th percentile in the NHL. But compared to the Minnesota Wilds, he would be able to complete 2 full laps of the ice before half the guys on the team could get down there once. But until there's an admission that, hey, this isn't working, until there's an admission from up top, it's going to continue to be, it's going to continue to just be, well, we got to play better. How often have we heard that refrain? We got to play better. We got to play better. John Hines' post-game press conference included saying you have to channel the energy the right way. Once again, Brock Faber being made to face the press in the locker room for the second consecutive game. In your perfect world, what's the trade you make? What are we giving up? One trade to turn the season around. Jared Spurgeon, wherever you want him to go. Easy. Done. Easy fix. We've been talking about that for 3 years too, is that Jared Spurgeon and Jonas Brodin, as good as they are, that at some point they're going to get to the age that their skill level starts to decline. And it may be prudent to try to avoid such situation while they're both playing on the roster. But I firmly believe that there should be some sort of shakeup trade. It's got to be a shakeup trade. And I think it's got to be a fairly big one. Because it's just, at this point, it's complacency. It's complacency. It's comfortability. There's not been any level of consequences for this team over the last 4 years. Yeah, it's great. It's great to have a tight-knit room, but it gets to the point that the room is so tight-knit that guys are afraid to say something to players that are not pulling their weight. And that creates behind-the-scenes resentment issues. There are a handful of guys, there are a couple of guys that are pulling above their weight right now. Most of the rest are not. And it's a situation where if it were me, I would be a little frustrated if I was doing everything that I knew I needed to do, and you've got guys on the team that aren't. And the guys on the team that are not continue to just get put in the same spots in the lineup as if nothing's going on. Like I've watched this team. This will be year 5 now. This will be the 5th season that I have covered the team. And I think there's a clear-cut difference between a slow start. This team just, they look like they've got no juice. They don't have any juice to start the season. This seems different than a slow start. After a road trip in which you went 1-3-1 and you come home and you give up 3 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game to a team that had just a younger roster. There's zero reason. Like you've got to come back home before the Saturday game. You got to come back home before the Saturday game and make sure that every single player in that locker room knows, hey, guys, we got to get up for this. We got to get up. We got to be ready to go. And I don't care if it's a goal right off the bat. I don't care if it's Marcus Foligno decleating somebody. You got to do something to send a message to start the game. And they give up 3 goals in the first 5 minutes. And they give up the first 2 goals tonight. And that's why I am so adamant that I just want to see some sign that somebody is upset with what we're seeing. Throw a chair, break a stick. It may sound trivial, but what it does signify is that what is going on right now is not enough. It's optics. Media, we live in the world of optics quite a bit, a lot. The optics of what is happening with this team right now are very bad. Very bad. And until there's an admission of such, it's not going to change. You play Winnipeg on Tuesday, good luck. Winnipeg's off to a great start. Mark Scheifele's got 8 goals on the season, I think. Connor Hellebuck. Hey, that's gonna solve the 5-on-5 scoring, is going up against one of the best goalies in the NHL. We made it. 5-on-5 scoring solved. And guess what? Winnipeg's a big team on the back end. They're going to try to push you around. I think it's time to admit that there needs to be a shakeup. And I don't say that lightly. But it's a roster that looks old and tired in a league full of young and exciting. So, I mean, yeah, it's great. It's great that they rallied. It's great that they rallied to And this is a great point. This is a great point too. I'm glad this was brought in to the chat here. I know Kirill's $17 million contract does not kick in until next year. He's got to be way better. He's got to be way better. He's not hitting the $9 million mark as far as value goes right now. Pretty much all of his scoring has been power play, and I will scream from the mountaintops that you can't rely on power play scoring for an entire season. You have to figure out 5-on-5. And at 5-on-5, Kirill has a lot on the table that he's got to add to it. So I just saw somebody that covers the Rangers say the Rangers are a collection of people that play hockey. That feels like the Minnesota Wild. They're a collection of hockey players. They don't have chemistry at this point. They don't have... There just is no... There is a lack of skill. There's a lack of speed. There's a lack of skating. There is zero identity. And it just looks like a team that's kind of resigned to its fate. You gotta shake it up. You have to drop a seismic type change to shake this team out of complacency. And it's hard to gauge how some of the young players have played because they have been taken out of key situations. Like Zeev not playing at all in overtime. Because again, you rely, it's like a golf swing. You may make changes, you may make tweaks to try to be better, but the moment things go wrong, you revert. Do you think Billy sees how atrocious they look, or are they too blinded? I don't get the sense. I'm not going to get the sense that there is any sort of acknowledgement of where they're at right now until there is some sort of a meeting. And again, this is probably just me. This is probably just me being dumb. Like, just me being kind of dumb reactionary. Like, I need to see some sort of a raising of the temperature to understand that there's somebody upstairs that knows what's going on. Your three bottom players tonight, courtesy of the hockey stat cards. I'll tweet this out so that everybody can see it. Your two worst players tonight by sizable margins were Jared Spurgeon and Jake Middleton. Players that had negative impacts tonight included Vladimir Tarasenko, Tyler Pitlick, Danila Yurov. I would argue Danila just didn't have an impact. He played 5 minutes. Ben Jones, David Jiricek, Jake Middleton, Jared Spurgeon. Brock Faber was massively in positive territory. I'd like to give Brock Faber some credit for putting his money where his mouth is and actually working to try to improve his performance. He had a multi-point effort tonight for the first time in a while. He's been as hard on himself as anybody on the team. So I do appreciate that from Faber. Obviously, Ryan Hartman had a solid performance tonight with the goal. Kirill generated a lot of offense, but those turnovers have to stop. The general carelessness with the puck that this team exhibits is mind-numbing. So I don't know. I'm at the point. I really am. I'm at the point where I feel like this current recipe has got to be injected with something. Why does Hines not like the young players so much? For an exceedingly average coach, one would think he would be used to them by now. I really don't know, because like it's the general assumption. The general assumption is that rookie players are going to make mistakes that are going to likely cost you games. And I guess that's something that coaches can't live with. Flip side, I would rather a young player come in and make mistakes because they're actually doing something. Like here's what I will. I'll throw Jiricek a bone. I know that power play goal that was scored because he vacated his spot. Not great, not good, but at least he was doing something. So I don't know. That's progress, I guess. At least people are trying things. Any clues why they can't pass the puck properly, like ever? Again, because I don't think there are any. I don't think there are any consequences. I don't think there are any consequences for bad performances. I really don't. Would DeBoer? Okay, this is going to be the last one that I. This will be the last one because I gotta go get lunch. I gotta go eat lunch. Yes, I said lunch at 9:00. Been a long day. Pete DeBoer. Let's talk about Pete DeBoer for a second. The Pete DeBoer experience leads to an early deep run for the team that he coaches. It leads to an early run, second round, third round, and deteriorates from there. Like the reason that people want to go to DeBoer is because he has won playoff series before. He's not a great developer of talent. He publicly feuded with Jake Ottinger last year and got ran out of town in Dallas. He got ran out of town in San Jose. He got ran out of town in Vegas. If it's me, I want either an up-and-coming coach from the college ranks or I want a top assistant from somebody that has a proven track record of winning. You can't, these guys that the Wild have pulled in. Dean Evison was a coach from a long time ago and then a top assistant. And I liked Dean, but he was incredibly rigid with his strategies, with his lineups. And if you found a way to beat him, he did not have the answer to combat that. But these teams they've achieved regular season success. The Minnesota Wild, they've achieved regular season success and no playoff success. I would, and here's the other funny thing. Lane Lambert, previously with the Islanders, I believe, who's now coaching the Seattle Kraken. Seattle off to a 5-2-2 start. And they're playing much better than they have the last few years, but they also acknowledge that they got it wrong. And Lane Lambert came in and said, here are the things that we are going to do. And they have fully supported him in those efforts. And on the David Carl front, guys, he just signed an extension with Denver. And until this situation gets sorted out a little bit more, I don't know. Is it a desirable spot? You got Kirill Kaprizov. You've got a lot of young talent, but where is it? I don't want a retread. I want somebody that is going to become what I would like to try to find is the next John Cooper. Somebody who has won at every level. Somebody who has been through every level of the system, has won at every level of the system, and is going to establish it has a way that he has done it that you don't question. But I'm not gonna get into the coach stuff until it actually happens, because that's a Billy decision. Or if you go a little higher than that, that's gonna be a Craig decision. I will say, though, I can say this with 100%. I can say this with 100% certainty. If John Hines were to be let go, if John Hines were to be dismissed, the replacement is already waiting. If Hines gets the axe, Greg Cronin has taken the job. I said it on the live show this afternoon. I'll say it again. I would not be shocked in the slightest if that was an assurance for Cronin taking the job. Is that if there was something that happened at the NHL squad where they made a change, that it was his job. I can pretty much guarantee that. So that is probably what we're going to get at this point. But is Billy going to get another opportunity to fire a coach? You usually get one. You usually get an opportunity. If you come in as a new GM, you get the opportunity to remove the guy that's there if they're not to your liking. You get to hire your guy. If that doesn't work out and that coach ends up, then the record is not good. Usually the GM's the next one that goes. And let's keep in mind, too, this is basically the same roster that we have seen over the last few years. So some of that blame's got to point back at the players too. And that again is why I circle back to, I think that there needs to be a shakeup. And I don't even necessarily mean bringing somebody in to to try to salvage. You gotta get a defibrillator. You got to get a defibrillator in here and shock them back. And as far as the no move clauses go, there are ways around those. That's not an issue. The issue is the GM being put in a situation to where he actually does anything about it. So, but hey, at least we have these statistics. I'm going to be just an absolute evil person, and I'm going to leave you with this. The Minnesota Wild currently rank 30th in the NHL in goals per game at 2.44. The Minnesota Wild rank 30th in penalty kill 6.67. Keep in mind, these stats are before tonight's game. And the Minnesota Wild rank 27th, 28th in goals against. If it smells like crap, it looks like crap, it's probably crap. Well, we'll get to do this again Tuesday. I cannot wait to talk to Alex about what we have seen here tonight, and I think with Jesse Pierce, I'm gonna, in solidarity, I think I'm gonna go get some Taco Bell. Minnesota Wild's 6-5 loss in OT. It's getting late early, folks. We've of course got an episode coming for you tomorrow and all week. I'll be at the game in person on Tuesday, so can't wait to see what it looks like. Can't wait to see what they don't show you on the camera, but that's Tuesday's problem. Make sure to like before you head out for the night. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to follow along if you have not already on YouTube. We're at 3,680 subscribers. Tell your friends if you're looking for a Minnesota Wild podcast that tells it how it is. Locked On Wild is your best bet. Although, again, I'm gonna send some love to the wonderful folks at Judd's Hockey Show. I know they will be they'll be all over this too. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that kind of a game, and that's all I'm going to say about it. So, see you later. Locked On Wild postcast signing off. The Wild lose 6-5. Yuck.